Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today, as these past couple days were on a roll. No news for such a long time, and then boom, bombshell after bombshell after bombshell drops. Watch all the way to the end of this video to catch my interview that I had on a Twitter Spaces with Charles Hoskinson from Cardano, so you guys don't have to search for it on Twitter. But first, we have a lot to discuss on this groundbreaking day. Jungle Link stated on Twitter, Brad Garlinghouse, any thoughts ahead of these Hinman email releases? Brad Garlinghouse responded he wishes he could go in depth, but for obvious reasons, we've waited this long, 18 plus months, and I don't want to overstep. But it's suffice to say, Stu Alderati and I believe they were well worth the wait. I need you all to understand how important this is. We're finally, after 2.5 years in this SEC case, gonna see if we were right or not. Me personally, I believe there has been a conspiracy at play to make Ether the most adopted altcoin on the planet and to kill off competition. While we don't have concrete evidence yet, we're gonna lay all the conspiracies to rest. We're gonna know exactly what the truth was. We're gonna understand why things happened the way they did. We're gonna understand why all these exchanges and why all these cryptos are getting deemed illegal securities, while Ethereum, who actually held an illegal ICO, and FTX, which was the biggest scam purported on the crypto market, are allowed to reign free. I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm tired of the insider. I'm tired of the corruption. I am tired of all the nonsense. And this, the release of the Bill Hinman emails, will be the first step in draining the swamp from the crypto industry. But first, I do have to say this. I do believe too many people are expecting good news today. And this is just an observation. I do expect good news today. But things always tend to go wrong when there's heavy anticipation for the XRP army, doesn't it? Do I have to remind you how many times dates have come and gone, events have come and gone, everything has come and gone, and we've been disappointed? Why? Because the big boys in the market always move first. We've seen the XRP price already rise quite a bit. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see some disappointing news accompany the Bill Hinman email release, because quite frankly, they need to throw something else in there, a monkey wrench, in order to distract away from the bombshell that will be released. Maybe a Tether lawsuit. Maybe we see something else. But expect the unexpected, and you'll never be disappointed. You see, today is not just a normal day in crypto. Today, June 13th, is the day in crypto. A hearing on motion to seize Binance assets is happening today. The release of the Bill Hinman emails is happening today. US CPI data gets released. And the SEC is responding to an order on Coinbase petition in the Third Circuit. Not every federal court date is eventful in crypto, but today is. And may God bless us all. Everyone needs to remember that the SEC calling an asset a security does not mean it is a security. You need to remember so you do not forget. These are accusations. False accusations, in my opinion. And I think we're going to come out on top at the end of the day. But first, I need you all to understand the magnitude of the events happening. As the biggest and most followed YouTube channel on crypto on the planet, Coin Bureau, is even talking about the release of these Bill Hinman emails and the potential of what could happen to Ethereum. I think it's very important because it does lead towards the overall theme of the day. Now please take a listen.
No, ETH's sudden weakness could be due to concerns around what the Hinman documents will reveal. For reference, documents relating to former SEC Director Bill Hinman's 2018 speech about Ethereum will reportedly be made public this Tuesday. As reported by Decrypt, Bill's biography on the SEC's website was recently scrubbed. This has led to speculation that the regulator is getting ready to throw him under the bus. What the Hinman documents could mean for ETH itself is unknown, but it seems that Ethereum insiders aren't taking any chances. Some of you might remember seeing the news that the Ethereum Foundation had sold roughly $30 million worth of ETH back in May. What you may not know is that many of the ETH sales by the foundation have coincidentally occurred around local tops for ETH's price. As such, there's been lots of speculation that ETH's price is about to plummet. This speculation increased last week when on-chain analysts noticed that Ethereum co-founder Jeffrey Wilker had transferred over $40 million worth of ETH from his wallet to Kraken, presumably to sell it. This is more significant than you think, because when you have that amount of ETH, the more rational decision is arguably to stake it. To put things into perspective, staking $40 million worth of ETH would generate a passive income of roughly $3 million per year with ETH's current staking rewards. Not only that, but the transfer accounted for more than 10% of Jeffrey's total ETH holdings. This begs the question of why he would sell rather than stake. Only Jeffrey knows the answer, but common sense suggests that he has a very big expense coming up that will require massive amounts of dry powder. It seems that Jeffrey isn't alone either. If you've been watching whale movements on chain, you might have noticed that ETH whales have been sending large amounts of ETH to exchanges over the last few months. Again, transferring so much ETH to an exchange signals an intent to sell, not to hold. If you need any more evidence of this, look no further than the recent whale movements for Matic. As reported by CoinDesk, millions of dollars of Matic were sent to Coinbase and Binance moments before its price collapsed. Similar whale movements were seen for the other altcoins that collapsed last week. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that ETH is going to dump because of some black swan. It could simply be the smart money taking profits during the rally we've seen since the start of the year.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I wanted you all to pay attention to during that specific clip was all the insiders dumping and the more mainstream crypto communities beginning to see the corruption of Ether. Oh, Ether. How I've wanted you to succeed, but how dirty you've played the game. You see, I have no problem with Ethereum being the leader of the altcoins in an open and fair crypto market, but in my opinion, it hasn't been an open and fair crypto market. I do believe that the manipulation from ETH, the Ethereum Foundation, Joe Lubin, Vitalik, Consensus, and others has been ungodly. We have the receipts. We have the video clips. We have the facts. Hinman emails on standby. And remember what John Deaton stated on the Patrick Bet-David podcast.
He says, write a memo up for us and tell us what you want. They write a memo and a safe harbor proposal. There are multiple meetings that take place. A secret meeting in March of 28th of 2018, and it gets leaked because there's some stuff going on in there. And they propose a safe harbor for crypto, but the only crypto they mention is Ether. And then what happens on June 14th, 2018, Bill Hinman, gratuitously as Director of Corporation and Finance, very high up at the SEC, gives his infamous speech where he says, setting aside the fundraising that took place with Ether, it is sufficiently decentralized today, and therefore current sales of Ethereum are no longer considered a security. He goes on CNBC and he says, well, you know, when we look at Ethereum, we don't see a third-party promoter. You just had a meeting with him.
It's a backroom deal.
You just had meetings with him. He had a meeting on June 8th, 6 days before the speech. He had a meeting with the promoter. So he gets up there and says, we don't see it.
In criminal law, this sounds like a proffer meeting almost.
And then, absolutely. Then all the people started asking, well, what about XRP? XRP was actually number 2 at the time behind Bitcoin, and it was battling Ether for the number 2 spot. Oh, we're not going to comment on any of further tokens. Joe Lubin then goes out and starts basically saying what the SEC is going to do. He says, we're working with the SEC. They gave Ether a pass. They gave Bitcoin a pass. All these other coins, he literally says this, are absolutely spectacularly disadvantaged compared to Ether. They didn't mention XRP. That's very interesting. He says the SEC is going to be coming after certain projects. All of this takes place, right? In the meantime, Bill Hinman is collecting $15 million from his law firm while he's at the SEC, which is a member of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, right?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, breathe. Just breathe. Because what we've been waiting for years is finally coming to an end. The Hinman documents are well worth the wait, in the words of Brad Garlinghouse, and I'm cautiously optimistic they are. I'm on the edge of my seat, and every step of the way on this journey has been incredible. We in the XRP community have always been correct, and I think with this one, we will be vindicated. Not only that, but the general crypto community is beginning to realize we've been on the edge of the truth for a long time. We've been hitting the nail on the head. And that's why Charles Hoskinson was willing to come talk to me on behalf of the XRP community on what the hell's been going on. He's beginning to realize the truth. And while not fully convinced yet, I think tomorrow he's gonna fully understand the writing on the wall. Stay on the edge of your seats, my friends. Our time is coming now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please take a listen to my interview with Charles Hoskinson.
Hello, Charles. First of all, I really want to thank you for doing this. I'm one of the more prominent XRP content creators, and before anything else, I do want to say I come in peace, Charles. I promise, I come in peace. But what I will say is that I've personally been warning for the past 2 years, every single day on YouTube, that everyone else was going to be getting sued by the SEC. It doesn't matter if they did anything wrong or not. It doesn't matter what the facts or circumstances are. The entire crypto community laughed and cheered when XRP got screwed. And it seems to me like XRP has always been treated as a pariah. Coinbase, as well as all the other exchanges, decided to delist XRP. Well, now after realizing that the government is coming after everyone, they're not delisting any of the other cryptos, which is very interesting.
Well,
We've
hang
been
on, because
uncovered.
it's not you're comparing apples to oranges, and you got to be intellectually honest
Of
about
course,
what's happening here.
of
So,
course.
with respect to
That's, yeah.
XRP, it was the case where the SEC directly went after XRP. So they actually went after XRP, and they said for all of time, from the beginning to today, XRP is a security. The case of the 13 cryptocurrencies that have so far been deemed securities with Binance and Coinbase, they haven't gone after any of those cryptocurrencies yet. What they've done is they've just said, these are securities, we've decided that, and Binance, you're a violator, and Coinbase, you're a violator. Well, the reason why
Yes,
there's
that
no
is
mass
correct.
the reason why there's no mass delisting is because if the Coinbase and Binance were to agree with this, their business model would effectively come to an end within the United States. So they have no incentive to do that. Whereas XRP, the remediation there was just like, well, we'll delist it and we'll come back later on to it. And if it gets resolved, we'll relist it. That's kind of the same
Yes.
situation right now with Robinhood and SoFi, where they look, we're regulated entities. We don't want to deal with this. So what we're going to do is just get out of those markets, and then we'll come back after there's some clarity in some of those markets. Whereas the other is an existential concern. As for the rest of the industry going after XRP, XRP has been around for a real long time, and there's a unique history there, and there's certainly a lot of ups and downs. And I knew a lot of the early guys, like I know Jed and I know Arthur, and I've met Joel, David Schwartz, excuse me, and obviously I've hung out with Brad on numerous occasions. I've never really had an issue. There's some people in the industry who, for some reason, they were rubbed a little bit the wrong way, and there was always like a different culture there. And I think the big issue with the XRP side was when the lawsuit happened, that there were a lot of questions about Ethereum getting a free pass. And I think those were pretty legitimate to be upset about it. But then what happened is there was a group of people in the XRP community who took it a step further, and they said not only did Ethereum get a free pass, that they also bribed the SEC to go after XRP to knock it off the throne so that Ethereum could rise. And the reality was that Ethereum and XRP were never competitors. XRP didn't have smart contracts. It was competing in interbank settlement and Fortune 500 stuff. It had nothing to do with what Ethereum was doing with DeFi. In fact, XRP had the option to be in that market. They chose not to, for the early days of the project. In fact, the early parts of the project were moving in that direction, and they decided to move more towards a regulated basis as opposed to an unregulated DeFi style basis there. So it never made any sense to me. And when I said grand conspiracy, that was really the context of the statement. Then it just snowballed, and the internet does what it always does. And I figured, today is fuck it, let's just bury the hatchet. It's so fucking petty at this point. And let's just all realize, what? At the end of the day, grievances aside, issues aside, we all are kind of in the same boat. And we need, as an industry, to calm down and chill out a little bit and just relax, and it'll be okay.
I understand, and I appreciate you doing that as well. And I agree that a good portion of people did take it a little too far with some of the speculation, but it does seem to be quite a conflict of interest, specifically with Bill Hinman. I don't know if you're aware, but his emails are coming out. That we've been waiting for a long time, June 13th. I just asked that everyone here just pay attention to those, because the SEC hasn't wanted those to come out for a long time, and I feel like that's going to be, like Brad Garlinghouse said, it's going to shock a lot of people.
We are so through the fucking looking glass here, because you say like Hinman's a conflict of interest. That's absolutely an issue, and you're absolutely right. The emails are not going to be pleasant, or else why would they try to hide them? But here's the bigger thing, and what really should be pointed out. Here's what happened. In 2021, Coinbase went to the SEC, and they did what's called an S1 filing. So they want to say, we're going to be a publicly traded company. So when you do that, the SEC doesn't just say, oh, okay, you can trade all your stocks, here we go. No, they look at your business model, and they say, does your business model expose risk to retail investors? Because they don't want just retail investors trading super weird stocks. So you spend a year going back and forth. They look at your entire business model end to end, and they basically approve it. And once they've approved it, you're allowed to trade. So apparently, what the SEC is saying is, we allowed you to expose millions of retail investors in the United States to trading your stock, knowing full well that you have an illegitimate, unlawful business model. And only after allowing that stock and those millions of people to be exposed to risk for 2+ years have we decided to come in and now try to shut you down and say that you never talked to us when you talked to us over 30 times and you, by the way, have broker-dealer licenses, and we never even, tried to work with you. Okay, as bad as Hinman emails can be, or whatever these issues are, that's the moral equivalent of like the FAA saying to Boeing, you're an aircraft manufacturer. You're allowed to make aircraft. They make aircraft. They make 20 of them. They sell them. And the minute that, like Japan Airlines tries to fly them, the FAA shows up and says, oh, I'm sorry, Boeing isn't allowed to make aircraft. We never said they were. And all those aircraft you bought, you're just going to have to be grounded, and they'll never fly in the U.S. That's literally the equivalent of what just happened there. And that is so far beyond anything that's ever happened with a regulator that there's gonna be a reckoning there, and I think that's really where the focus ought to be, is to pivot towards these just overwhelmingly egregious things. Because the problem is, when you say, well, if this bad thing happened to XRP and not Ethereum, it's like an us versus them thing. When they do this to an exchange, which is a neutral entity that creates a market for all of us in the ecosystem, basically what they're doing is choking down on crypto as a whole and trying to take crypto
Yes.
down. So I think that's a much better, more politically palatable, because all the arguments go to hell. The come in and
Yes.
register argument goes to hell. The consumer protection argument goes to hell. The market clarity argument goes to hell. They don't want to be regulated. It's a fucking publicly traded company. There's no higher regulation that you can get outside of being a bank. By the way, they wouldn't become a bank if they said that's what they needed. Okay, and so there's just no logical argument to really defend that, and it's morally vacuous. And the victory there would just be as good for the industry as a win for Ripple in this case, because it really is a repudiation of this overstep. But I want XRP to win. I think it's good for all of us. I think they will. I think it has a potential going all the way up to the Supreme Court. And we'll just see what happens we'll just try to move in that direction.
And
Just hang in there. And I'm sorry you guys have gone through hell. It is horrible to spend 29 months fighting and $200 million fighting to get to a point where even if you win, you don't get anything because you don't get the money back, and you don't get the lost time back, and you don't get the competition back. It's like somebody who's wrongfully convicted, they sit in prison for a few years, they don't get the time back. And there's that stigma and all that trauma from all of it. And I can see the trauma in the XRP community. I feel it. It's tough, and I wish that it was different. And I wish that people would just be more willing to negotiate. When we were doing Ethereum over in Switzerland, man, we negotiated with the Canton of Zug. Within a few weeks, the decision was made. The Canton stood behind it, and that was the law of the land. And what a novel concept that you could go and just talk to the government, haggle with them, come up with a deal, and then everybody's happy. Why can't we do that in the United States? Why can't you just go and talk, and then after a few weeks, you come to a compromise, they decide how you're going to operate, and then you go and do it. And as long as you follow the agreement, you're okay. Why is that so hard? It's nuts.
And Charles, just last question, and I'll step down. What is the next step for you and Cardano in this Coinbase case? Because what Gary's doing that's different from what Jay Clayton did with the Ripple cases, he's trying to broad brush all cryptos as securities through exchanges as opposed to just targeting what at a time. So I'm curious to know what you can do and what maybe a plan is that may be being discussed amongst some of the crypto innovators.
Well, this is the most fucked up thing. Is like there's nothing I can do. First off, I don't speak on behalf of Cardano or control the protocol, and so it's like I have no standing in the protocol to say anything. And even if I did, there's no enforcement action right now. So really, what's happened is basically an agency just said without anything, just this is it, and then okay, well, we're not even a party to this. They just said something, but now because they've said it, it's creating a ripple effect that's creating catastrophic damage to the Polygon community, Solana community, and Cardano. So there's nothing that can be done. The only thing that really can be done is advocacy for a law being passed that changes that situation, or for a new administration to take office that respects rule of law. Those are the only two options that are on the table, because I don't think there's any effective way to engage with the regulators as they stand today. If there was, then I think Robinhood and Coinbase and all these other people that tried to engage with them would have been successful, because they tried good faith in that. So I just don't see any path forward at the moment. It's just one of those waiting games where you kind of, there's going to be a sucky period. It's terrible. I've been through 7 collapses in the cryptocurrency industry at this point. You get used to it. It's kind of like that meme, the guy who's on the roller coaster and he's like drinking the wine and reading a book as they're falling. I mean, it's like this is what we're all used to if you're a veteran in the industry. And then, at some point you get an opening, and that could be a law or, new administration, and it's a reset of the relationship. And this opportunity then to have, forward progress. It's just, we're not going to get it right now with where everything's at. People have dug in. The courts are going to just move at the speed of courts, and they're going to make decisions. If some are going to benefit the industry, some are going to set the industry back. Like there was a default judgment against DAOs with the CFTC, and that was pretty damaging potentially. And, the Supreme Court may overthrow the Chevron doctrine, which could be devastating to the SEC and to CFTC and others, depending upon how that moves its way through. So there's a back and forth there. And, that's where we're at right now. And until the legislative branch does its damn job and passes a law, or the executive branch gets changed up and a new administration comes in that has a different administrative priority than this administration.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the time, Charles.
Hang in there, man. I'm sorry I can't just give you a silver bullet or something, but I'm just trying to keep it real,
Through the internet, brother. It's all good.
Yeah.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors? Former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany? Former business director at Swift? Former Swift board member? Former CFO of PayPal? Former head of the DTCC? Former chief business officer at Uber? Former VP of Amazon and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.